And we begin this newscast with the latest coming in from the Afghan sex favor scandal. Afghanistan's Attorney General opened an investigation into allegations that some members of President Ghani's administration are trading government positions for sexual favors. In a statement, the Attorney General's office said that it will investigate the allegations in a serious, fair, neutral and independent way. It all began last week when a former Security Advisor General, Habibullah, said that he had left his job due to rampant corruption. In an interview to Afghan media, General Habibullah said, and I quote here, "People were working systematically for promoting adultery in the palace, and everyone is aware of it." Since then, many others have spoken. Former government employees have also made similar claims. It would be fair to say that the Me Too movement that started in the West has now reached Afghanistan. Another former member of the Afghan government supported these charges over the weekend. Wion spoke to Mariam Wardak. She has served as a consultant to Afghanistan's National Security Advisor. Now, Mariam Wardak told us that the charges levied by General Ahmadzai reflect the reality. Here's a snippet from that conversation. Listen in.
So the Special Security Advisor in Ada camp, one may take General Ahmadzai's interview as someone scorned that understanding the issues he brought up and highlight reflect reality. Presidential Palace is the center of government. Anything that is happening in the palace is a reflection of how President Ghani's government is run. Unfortunately, General Ahmadzai enumerated that many pervert and corrupt activities that supposed individuals have a stranglehold of Ghani's government. This said, we have to bring attention that unfortunately and saddening, this has become a rallying cause for the Taliban and Islamic jihadists. I believe that Afghan women should be concerned that the actions of very few could result in the cause of strengthening application of Sharia, as well as traditional archaic customs of isolating and denying the progress of Afghan women. So, in my personal experience, I tried my best when I was at the Office of the National Security Council for my attire and my image to be extremely modest, culturally and religious attire, appropriate with no makeup. Perception is reality in Afghanistan, and the sensitivities are extremely high.
Now, the nature of charges is serious, but it is not yet clear which government official has made such demands. The government of Afghanistan has vocally denied these charges. A government spokesperson said the accusations are false and baseless, but he added that there will be a serious investigation into the claims. Now, there are two other aspects to this story that cannot be ignored. First, presidential elections in Afghanistan are just months away. President Ashraf Ghani is running for a second term. The presidential palace has another story to tell. They say that General Ahmadzai has political aspirations. General Ahmadzai ran for parliament in 2018 but lost. According to a report in the New York Times, he also tried to get his old job back, but he was not hired. Remember, he had served as a senior advisor to the president. Now, the second aspect to this story is the present-day situation of Afghanistan. There has been no headway in the peace deal negotiations with the Taliban. Meanwhile, the terror group has also stepped up its attacks. So the Ashraf Ghani government is not just weak and a lame duck, it is now also tainted. And so the charges may or may not damage his re-election bid. But for those who are speaking out now, this is a harrowing time, especially for Mariam Wardak. After her interview to Wion, she has been facing a witch hunt. Ms. Wardak says she feels threatened. The country's Attorney General has now issued a summons to her on the web. Mariam Wardak is facing an angry backlash. One post on Facebook called her a liar. Another one on Twitter called her a hypocrite. But no one has spoken out about General Habibullah Ahmadzai, who was the first one to make these claims. The fact that the charges of corruption against the government are not new. Claims of money changing hands had also emerged during the presidency of Hamid Karzai. But in recent times, allegations of sexual abuse have also spiked. In the past, officials working with the women's football team faced charges of sexual abuse. 5 of them were suspended. last year for sexually abusing female players. The team's head coach had to turn to FIFA for help. The coach said that Afghan officials cannot be relied on to properly investigate claims of sexual abuse. The World Football body, FIFA, also conducted an investigation, but the allegations against the Afghan government could kick up a storm. Afghanistan is an extremely conservative society. Even moderate urban men often hesitate to let women work. Many fear a retaliation from the Taliban that vocally opposes a woman's right to work. Now, earlier this year, we had spoken to Mariam Wardak about her experiences while working with the government and how the modern Afghan citizens might push back against the forced oppression of women by the Taliban. Listen into what Wardak had to say.
I replicate patriarchal vices through my communication, my attire, and how I interact with the public. And the only reason why I replicate it is in order to find areas of how I can help other females advance. So when I was at the Office of the National Security Council, I was very simple in my communication, very quiet. I only listened, provided documents. But however, I was able to identify areas on how I can recruit women. When I first joined, there was only 12 women at the Office of the National Security Council. When I left, there were 36. So you have to, if you can't beat them, join them, I guess.
That's a good philosophy. The return of the Taliban and their potential rule in the days ahead, given the way the peace talks are progressing, you said that Afghan women are not ready to go back. But is there a concern that, first of all, you're not party to conversation or dialogues that are going to impact your lives the most? The Afghan government of the day is not a participant in any of the peace talks, whether it be the American-led or the Russian-led. And especially women and the youth whose life is going to be impacted if such a regime change happens. Is there a plan B? Is there concern, trepidation in the society about what is coming?
Well, just today there was an article in the New York Times by two young Afghan women and how they were talking about the spread of fear. I think it's more that we need to hold responsibility, and the Afghan people need to demand their government be a part of any type of discussions. The Afghan women are not the women and the people pre-Taliban period. So it's not this blank slate that you could come and all of a sudden control and operate how you wish. These women, men, young individuals are educated. They've understood and felt economic autonomy, and they've had a taste of freedom. So they're not going to just allow anybody to come there and tell them that this is how you will be, no school, no work, stay at home. There will be a strong rebellious against that.